Hello everyone and welcome back to the Longplay Club. This is your series dedicated to Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. This is part 3 of our journey through Snake Eater. I am your host today, Christian Buckley, codename Scorpion, joined by the Longplay Club. Starting in the top left, we got Jack Martin, codenamed Elephant.
Good to be here. Man, this episode's still boring. Gotta be honest with you. We haven't gotten to the good part yet, so just setting expectations, but it should be a fun conversation.
Top right, we got our first Jaguar, Omar Nakvi. How are you doing?
What's up? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing very nice. You know, it's a cool day, windows open, feels great. You know, spring's here.
Yeah.
But rounding out the Longplay Club, bottom left, other Jaguar, Kevin Diaz.
How we doing? I got the two homies here. You know, I'm sure y'all have seen already. See that?
Yes.
Look at these wholesome boys over here just chilling. I don't think this episode was that bad. I honestly didn't think it was that bad.
Sure.
Personally speaking, you know, I thought last week's episode was worse.
Yeah.
For sure.
You're 100%. You're 100% correct. But
Okay.
we just haven't gotten the meat and potatoes.
Right. Yeah. I do sense that. Like, I know next week we're gonna be full on buffet. For sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
So
Golden Corral.
last week we left off fighting the Pain, the first of Gru, the boss's new elite unit that she's working with. We fought the Pain, kind of a weak opening boss for this enemy force, and that's where we left off. So we picked up Naked Snake jumping back into the swamps on his way to the next objective. Jack going into the swamps, going back into the wild after fighting this mid boss. Like what was it like going straight back into the game on the normal difficulty with survival stuff? Like did you stumble a bit after the boss fight trying to recover, or what was that like?
So the first thing I realized is because we play this in a weekly format, so we pop in like once or twice a week and then record and then wait a week and then we play it before the next recording. I realized, because we were talking about how the game like tracks the real world time, and when you jump back in, all of my food was expired. Like all the animals I captured and stuff, all that was expired because it's been a week. So I just think that's funny because that would only have affected me because of this recording schedule that we do. So I think that was a really funny thing that I noticed when I jumped back in.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's you know, it's annoying, but I think that's just one of the charms of the game that retains what we like about Metal Gear, right? Because I know last week a big point of conversation was like, hey, yeah, the game like is really going hard on the stuff that doesn't make Metal Gear to the panel so far in 3 games, but I think that is you know, carryover, and we will touch on internal clocks once again this episode, I'm sure. But Kevin, finding your way after the fight wrapped up, going through the swamp towards the next objective, what was your process like? Like, how you're playing it very easy. I know you don't really have to deal with the injury systems too much. You're telling me that you're having a good time with combat too. You mentioned before the recording.
Yeah. So I think I like this episode a lot, like this section a lot more, because like we have some inside areas, you know, that are a little bit more, I feel like, calling back to like MGS 2 and 1, where, you know, there were these areas where there's enemies that seem to be placed for reasons for you to handle and tackle with. There's cool like things where I was spotted through a window by a scientist during my playthrough that was like, oh shit, like that's cool stuff. Like that is just not seen in the jungle areas outside beyond this point, you know what I'm saying? So I was liking that. I had to heal myself with the surgery stuff, and that was fun, you know. So I'm getting into more of like the game systems as the game goes on, you know, just being on very easy. It's just not as prominent in the early hours, but yeah, I mean, so far, like I definitely enjoyed this section a lot more, for sure, than like last week. You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
Sure, yeah. So
definitely.
navigating the warehouse, then we pick up the sniper rifle here. Were you like struggling too much with, or I mean, like not struggling, but you mentioned that you found it kind of easy now that you know how shooting works. Like, do you want to go into that a little bit?
Oh, right, yeah. So, I think it was during MGS2. I think Christian like really, taught me how to aim in this game, right? And like I know that sounds dumb, but like I did not realize that you release square to shoot as opposed to press it, which is like every other game in existence, pretty much that I'm aware of, right? Besides like a bow and arrow, so it works like that. So like I was telling Christian, like I think like that's why I'm having such a easier time with MGS as a whole. Just knowing that like singular mechanic, I think, has really been able to, just let me have a better feel of the gameplay overall and just have, I think, like more control, I guess I could say. So definitely that's been helping a lot for sure. And it helped out this episode too. For sure. So yeah. We've been over here, I feel unstoppable, It's great.
Yeah, definitely. Omar, you're also playing on very easy.
Yeah.
Returning veteran of the series. So, after a boss fight, I feel like in a survival game, they really want you to feel drained. Like I think Resident Evil does that really well, where you have a buildup of all these resources, and then you just have to unload them into a boss, and then you have to like really like heal yourself and look for more items again afterwards. Like I didn't find myself really having to do that here after the pain. So for you getting back in, did you find much difficulty with navigating the next few areas through the wilderness?
No, I will say I ran into the same issue as Jack, and all my food was expired. So Snake's stomach kept growling the entire episode, basically. I did try to get some food, but I did get my last calorie mate like immediately. So it was unfortunate. But yeah, pretty much smooth sailing. I think otherwise it's really easy on this difficulty. I made a mistake, I think, but it's okay.
I unlocked a really funny trophy when I was playing this section. I knew this trophy was a thing, so I was trying to go for it in a way. I kept eating the rotten food, and I made Snake throw up, and I got a trophy for that.
Hell yeah. I also have a side question. Before we got into my save file, I was looking at the main menu, and there's Metal Gear and Metal Gear, I think Metal Gear 2?
Yeah.
Are those the OG games that you guys were talking about?
Yeah.
They're just in...
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
That's how you play them. It's a weird... Like, I don't know why those games within the HD collection are in the Metal Gear Solid 3 menu and not just, like, digital downloads like how MGS 1 was. So it's a little strange, but yeah, that's how you play them. You have to go through that game.
And like I feel like at least like you would have it just separately on like that splash screen where you pick 1, 2, and 3, 4, and Peace Walker, I guess. 2, 3, 2, whatever. Which ones? 3, 2, Peace Walker.
No, 3 Peace Walker 2. 3 Peace Walker 2.
3 Peace Walker 2. Yeah. I figured they'd be in there, but no. Like I was like, oh snap. Okay, I think it was cool. So
they're included in the PS2 version, I think, in the PS2 version of Snake Eater. So they just left him there, I guess, in that menu. They should be broken out, but you're right. Right.
Cool. Hey, I mean, it's there, I guess. Screw it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. So after we navigate through the next area and we get to the warehouse, did anybody know that you have an opportunity here to kill the end? Jack, you're nodding your head.
Yeah, that's another trophy where I want to go for this platinum eventually because it's fairly easy compared to other Metal Gear trophy lists and achievement lists, and that's one of them, and I think that's really funny. So yeah, he's in the wheelchair being pushed around by, I think, just a normal guard when you get to him, and when you get to that area, you see his health bar, and at first I was like, huh, that's kind of weird, but then I knew about the trophy, and yeah, you get a sniper somewhere, you just shoot him from the distance, and then that's it.
Did you do it?
No way.
No, I'm
Oh.
doing a pacifist playthrough.
I see.
Yeah.
I did not know you could do that. That's actually pretty cool. Wait, so
Mhm.
do you just continue up the mountain, I guess? And it just foregoes that entire like end boss fight? You know?
Presumably.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, right?
I
guess
imagine like you won't get those cutscenes, you know.
Yeah,
So-
which you're kind of missing out for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, definitely recommend not doing that.
yeah, no, definitely don't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It is interesting though that they give you the choice to do that, because I appreciate when games give you that sort of freedom. I do think it's weird and interesting for a game that's so heavy on its narrative though to give you that option, right? Because like I don't know if I'd say any of the cutscenes surrounding the end when we get to the end is like vital, right? But I do think there's important, like, you get to see more of like Snake in a scenario being a soldier. I think it's still characterizing a little more, even if we don't like him, right? But I don't know. I feel like the decision to like just wipe that out completely is strange, right? Like I can't figure out why they do that outside of just having fun.
I think if you don't know you could do that, it is probably like very difficult. Like I would love to see like the percentage of people who actually did that like on their first try, because I don't think I had like a sniper or like a long range weapon that I could have like accurately taken a shot and taken him out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't think new players would have gone out of their way to do that, or if they attempted, it would have been very difficult.
Mm-hmm. I did explore a little bit after the fight with the pain, and I was able to find the Dragunov. So if I wanted to, I could have done this, but I didn't. I didn't even know about it until after the fact. But yeah, I do think it's an interesting choice. It's a very, again, a weird Metal Gear thing to include in here, but
I don't even think I found the sniper, guys.
I don't think I did either.
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
really,
I killed the end in a in a very interesting way that like definitely worked. Like it definitely did the job.
Mhm.
But yeah, I found a very, very quick technique that maybe I'm a GG pro gamer like Omar. I don't know, but I definitely got his ass for sure. For sure.
Well, after this, again, Jack, you led saying that it's pretty boring. Is this next section like just the continuing to get to the next objective? Is this what was boring for you? Because I found myself really coasting through all the wilderness stuff, and I think what's bothering me about this, and again, maybe it is because I'm playing on easy, but I don't know. I think it's like Kevin had a really good point. Like, my favorite part of what we did this week was the indoor sections, because I feel like PS2 open jungle wilderness is kind of boring as hell and not really designed in an engaging way. Maybe it's because I'm on easy, but I get maybe that's what they were going for, because they are pushing these systems and these environments can, lead to using these systems more, but I would have much preferred a lot more internal stuff for all these scenarios.
Yeah, the warehouse, like immediately after the end shows up and goes away, I had like 2 shots on my tranquilizer for my suppressor. So I was very frustrated, like trying to conserve that and not alert enemies, because I think this game especially has like a very unfair alert system where once you're spotted, like that's it. Like you're going to be spotted for like a solid 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you can't really like mess around, go in and out of areas, because that alert status is going to be up for I think like 90 seconds after all is said and done, and it just like takes forever. So that's a little unfair. So there was a few points where I was like, I just let the enemies kill me, and I restarted basically like as a checkpoint system, and then just kept going. And yeah, that part was annoying. And then yeah, like what you said, the next part with the wilderness area before the like scientist base, basically just all sort of animals and traps there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not very exciting. I did find thermal goggles, and let me tell you, that made everything just a fucking breeze to get through.
Oh snap!
And there's one
man.
particular fight we'll talk about, and it just made it super.
Yeah. Oh, I can see that. Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that for sure.
One thing I'll throw out there too. I didn't bring this up last week, but I've been doing it since last episode. Every time it started on the bridge when we came back for Operation Snake Eater, and I had to go across the bridge with the 2 guards and then the one patrolling before it. I kept getting caught there, so I let myself die constantly. I think I'm going to have my highest death count of any game in the series so far with Snake Eater because, like you said, Jack, that's just an easy checkpoint to do a wipe and a reset to keep up the stealth. Like, it is an inconvenience in a way. Maybe we're just bad at the game, but like it is such a strange shift, and it's not like a full-blown shift. You know, we try not to compare to the future too much, but I know for at least you, me, and Omar, we keep thinking of like, man, this game would be a lot better if it just played like 5 or like even Peace Walker. Like, there would be so many more improvements of ways to think of the world that way.
Reloading checkpoints is like a strategy for stealth games. Like,
yeah.
I know this is way different, but I was playing Dishonored like a week or 2 ago, and constantly the strategy there, if you're just going like a no alert playthrough, is just make a bunch of saves. And if you get caught, you really reload a save and you're back in the action in like 4 seconds. Mm-hmm. Whereas this, it's like, all right, I would have to quit out of the game because it's the only way to actually like hard load a save. And that's just like a 1 minute process. Whereas like, all right, just kill me and I'll spawn back in like 10 seconds. Sometimes that is like the smartest and quickest way to do it. It is annoying, and I'm with you. I don't like having that affect my like end code name, but oh well.
Yeah,
like gotta get through it.
We're gonna be like a bunch of slugs for like the code names at the end of this one. Like, it's rough.
It's gonna be like turtle,
frog,
tortoise.
But turtle's awesome. Give me turtle.
Yeah,
turtle. All right, bet.
What do you got against turtles, Kev?
I don't know. You know, they kind of slow. You know, they hide. I don't know. I don't like them. You know.
Okay.
I had the point I was gonna make, but I forgot, honestly. Yeah, like, I mean, so Jack, like, are the jungle environments, like, do you find them engaging, or like are they also boring for you too on like a regular difficulty? Like, are they any better?
They're fairly boring. Like, the meta for me towards the end of it, like right before the end fight, there was like a few guard bases along the way, was walking along. Guards are like super silent in the forest, so like I was constantly putting on my thermal goggles, taking them off, making sure like no one was there, and then when I did come across people, I would essentially just try to slip past them.
Gotcha.
And then try to loot any like bases or anything. But yeah, they're not really exciting. The guards move like super slowly in this game, like I said, and they're not very engaging, like what you were saying. So it's just I think Christian said it. It's like these areas kind of just serve as like a place to get you from point A to point B, and it's they're not the best. They're not the best compared to like the struts in MGS2, right? Which all of them were super unique and super
so cool.
To just navigate. Like different looking, and there's different strategies to get around each one. Whereas the forest is just a little open, and I think this series is at a point where it was trying to go open world, and it didn't really quite understand what that meant yet. So yeah, I just don't think the areas are all too interesting.
Sure. Now, Omar, I know you mentioned this before we started recording because we were planning out the next chunk of the series, right? You mentioned that you feel like breaking it up specifically with Snake Eater is sort of maybe doing a disservice to the game. Do you think?
I think so.
Yeah. Do you think that part of that is because the point not the point like A and B, but like the in between is just pretty weak, and you know, like blowing it up this way is just highlighting how weak that is?
Seems like it. It feels like it's more designed to be a movie. This one specifically, like in terms of all the cutscene direction and the amount of it seems greater than Metal Gear Solid 2 to me. And not great, like not like the direction's better than cutscenes, but like it seems like the kind of thing that you're supposed to play in like 2 days, I guess.
Sure.
And there's not really a lot to chew on per week when it comes to what we're getting in the story. It's a lot of seems like small character stuff where Metal Gear Solid 2 has these these big concepts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I don't know. I was saying last week that I could have used hey, give me a 2.5, 3 minute pain monologue about his backstory or whatever, and we get a little bit of that with the end here as well, and not at all with the fear.
Yeah.
The fear. Yeah,
You're not saying it right.
oh wait, fuck, how is it? The fear, whatever. Yeah, spoiler alert, I don't find these band of enemies as good as MGS1, honestly, or 2. Really,
fucking suck,
at all. They suck. Yeah. These are
They're
not
clowns. It's a circus.
It's weird.
I was going into this I know Omar was saying that in the first episode. I'm trying to go in with an open mind because I don't remember hating them, but yeah, now we're at the point where it's oh god, these fucking guys.
Yeah, these guys suck. Yeah.
It's like if Polka Dot Man jumped out in Arkham City. It's what the fuck are you doing here? I don't want you here.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I'm trying to give this game so many open-minded approaches every time I pick it up, but it really pales to the other two, and I hate saying that, because we're not done yet, and I know the game reaches some emotional points, right? And I mentioned last week in our wrap-up thoughts of I'm really curious on how I'm gonna feel come time for these end game things, and we're not there yet, but I don't really feel any more attached to Snake or the cast now any more than I was last week or the week before. Omar, I know I feel like you've been the most outspoken about Naked Snake sucking. Was there anything this week that gave you a bit more of a this guy's got some stuff going on, or is it really just a lot of hate still?
I will admit I did vibe with Naked Snake a little harder this week.
Okay.
And it was the I don't know if we want to jump too far ahead, but I thought the cutscene with him and Granin was funny. And I got this conversation about War of the Worlds with Paramedic, where he kept insisting that, so you haven't seen it? Because she thought she had seen it, but she was too scared to watch it, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think he's obviously, I really don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's, just like Raiden, green in a way, but a bit more insistent or rooted in his country or something, or his beliefs about just being a soldier. I don't know. I don't got beef with him just yet. Okay. I guess.
I do think there's a value to really going hard on the idea of Naked Snake being a soldier, I love America, all that sort of thing, because of the story they're telling. I think the thing that's holding me back is it's just not enticing in a way, because it's we touched on this last week too. It's a lot of similar beats. You mentioned also that there's not a lot to chew on story wise, but there's some stuff character wise, and I think that's true. Specifically with I think the codec calls or the radio calls, whatever the right word is, but even then, the paramedic stuff is charming. Zero, I still don't like him as much as Campbell, but I see that they have some sort of back and forth going at this point. It's nowhere close to a way that I think characterizes either of them better because of it, but yeah, I'm more okay with Naked Snake this week. I still don't like him, but I'm fine with him. Kevin, you've also been very outspoken about hating Snake in this game. What's up this week?
I mean, I think we're all he's okay this week because he didn't really talk that much this week, guys. Let's be honest too. He didn't have a lot of opportunity to add to the hate pile,
Sure.
Even though
man, that guy's shoes. I don't know.
I'll give
What are those?
Omar credit.
Yeah.
What are those? He give a compliment. Snake lightened up a little bit in the complete opposite of the point that I was making, but I did a save file, and funny enough, they were talking about James Bond movies. Funny making that comparison, and then in a meta way, Snake even goes like something like, "Yeah, the Major wants sometimes to compare 007 to like what we do, but I don't know if that's a straight up 1-to-1 comparison, but I guess you can make that comparison between us and 007 movies, I guess." And it was a very like meta, like, oh shit, like the guys were saying that the like intro soundtrack kind of is a very much like a 007 James Bond type of vibe to it, so I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, other than that, he just didn't talk that much in this episode, so he is what he is.
I like that James Bond conversation a lot. I think it's funny between the characters, just like having it out. But when he calls out, like when Kojima says, "Hey, this is a lot like James Bond," right? I feel like, what's the point in saying that here? Because like in Metal Gear Solid 2, every time he called out the similarities to Metal Gear Solid, there was a point there. But in this one, it's like, yeah, I know, I know. Like it's that I've definitely mentioned this before, but that moment in The Last of Us, right, where Ellie is like, "Damn, another paddle puzzle." It's like, well,
right.
If you guys knew that, what if you just didn't do it again? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know.
I definitely think that there's levels to. Like, I like the conversation too because I think it's a charming look into the back and forth they all have, but it's definitely an instance of Kojima. Like, I feel like just writing himself. It's. I think Omar, you brought this up week one. I'm seeing it more every week of just like Kojima, just like he's feeling himself with this game.
Yeah.
And
I think this might have been the first one that his name is on the box, but I'm not too sure.
Really?
But maybe I could be wrong. What were you saying though? Sorry.
No, I'm just like, as a fan of the series, right? I'm trying to like rack my brain, and we don't have to cover this, but like I'm trying to think about 4, and I don't know if it's this like heavy-handed of him being all over the place as it is in 4. Like I think 4 is very fan servicey, but that's different to me. Like this is very much like a, aren't I clever? Isn't this engaging? Like it feels more like that.
I don't know. I mean, I've always had beef with this game specifically, but I remember loving 4, so I think we can still look. I'm still looking forward to that.
Oh, me too.
But I am also deeply worried, though, to be honest. where like, look,
deeply worried.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite game, right? But that was my first time replaying it because I honestly was scared over the last 10 years if I just wouldn't like it anymore. With where my opinion went on Kojima, and he's kind of a crazy guy, to be honest. I didn't know if it would hold up for me, and thankfully Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 I think still do. But this one, yeah, no, I don't know. I'm freaked out. I think 4 could go south as well, but I'm still looking forward to it at the moment. Honestly, I think some of my beef with this game too is like I don't like prequels, and I definitely don't think a prequel for Metal Gear is that interesting. Where it's like I just want to look to the future, man. I want to see what's happening now.
It definitely felt like the brakes were grind to like a screeching halt.
Yeah,
the opening of this game coming after Metal Gear Solid 2. I have a tangent for you guys.
Sure.
That I noticed. Please. You know how Star Wars has everyone getting their arms cut off in like every movie?
Yes.
Metal Gear has that, but with people peeing their pants in every Metal Gear.
Oh my god, game. Guys, listen, look. I don't like it. I don't like it. Nope. No. It wasn't even cool the first time, but I can let things slide. I'm a very easygoing gentleman. Yeah, I like to think so. I'll let things go over my shoulder. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
I think in the first one, you're working with the PS1. You got limited hardware. You got limited visuals. You got a bunch of limitations, right? You're trying to be like every single stereotype you can throw on Otacon to just be like, this guy's a nerd. he's a weak nerd. Like that, I think there's a purpose to it there, as like weird as it is. But like, yeah, I'm definitely with you. I was just with Emma in 2. I was just like, this is weird, and this week I was like.
But you have to understand, Christian, it's a remake of Metal Gear Solid.
Yes,
so that's why it's so cool.
Yes, no, it's still cool on that level for sure. But
no, yeah,
this, I think Jack brings up a good point. Like I think in Star Wars it's fun because it's like you point out and be like, they did the thing. You know, it's like I got a bad feeling.
It also
about this.
makes sense. There's laser swords being swung around. Someone's gonna get an arm chopped off.
Yeah,
right.
Who's peeing their pants every day?
Yeah, like
it's so common in this world apparently.
I think that's another thing. Like the tone of this game is just all over the place, and that's my biggest issue with it. Really, I think if they wanted to go simple, we're in the 60s, there's no clones, we're just doing super straightforward Naked Snake origins, like stick to that, you know, like really go in on that. And like I think there are other instances of Metal Gear games that kind of do that and do it well. So like here they're juggling, I guess, the expectations of 1 and 2 with like the wackiness, and I really think the game would have been way better, and I'd be having a much better time with it if they just went like either hardcore, this is a serious period piece, nothing weird, the timeline, nothing's weird yet, this is just straightforward, or it's been wacky since the 60s, like either of them. Don't do both, because I feel like we're just going back and forth. And I think Omar and Jack brought this up last week, like the other 2 games, specifically the original Metal Gear Solid, do that incredibly well. They balance it perfectly. But here, I think it's because they're just going too hard in both directions that it just doesn't work for me. I don't know if anybody feels differently.
I think it's the goofiest Metal Gear so far. Like,
oh, for sure. Yeah.
Metal Gear has always had like the goofy moments, specifically with its bosses, and some other goofy parts like outside of that, but most of the goof is like relegated to those parts, and the rest of the game is like fairly serious. Mm-hmm. In almost every aspect of Metal Gear Solid 3, there's just, you can find the goofiness anywhere. Like, especially with the ridiculous Eva cutscenes and the Ocelot cutscenes last week, mm-hmm. and it's just like, oh man, it's just littered with this weird awkwardness of what they're, like what you said, Christian, like sort of the story they're trying to tell, balancing the goofiness, and it's just it makes this game stand out more than 1 and 2 in that regard, and it's a little strange.
I don't even think you have to make a tonally like serious game instead, mm-hmm. but I do think Metal Gear Solid is about being goofy, but not quite like this. Like, I think this should be goofy, just write better jokes or like better characters, like than the Fear or something. I don't know, like, or stop with that camera, the camera direction, right, with the Eva stuff. Like, it's just bizarre.
I don't even know if it's like a thing of like this game has extremes on both polarities. Like, I really think that it's just, I don't think it's as serious as it probably needs to be.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I know that's dumb because like I'm the player, like I didn't make the game, so I don't know if I have like the freedom to even say that eloquently, right? But like, I don't think it's as serious as like I want it to be, but it's way wackier than I need it to be. You know, it's like I want it to be a little more serious and like explain these villains, like explain them, because like I think they could be interesting and cool. Like, maybe give a reason why they're all the something. Like, give me a reason why they're all emotions, mm-hmm. right? Like, I think there could be something there that could be a cool backstory to make and salvage these band of villains, I guess. But they all just suck when you don't explain anything about them. I don't know.
I wonder if, well, this is kind of, I don't think it matches up with everything, but I do wonder if, because this game is so heavily focused on Naked Snake learning to trust his instincts and emotions and not just follow orders, like, I wonder if these bosses named after emotions are him, like, sort of trying to be symbolic of like him cutting himself off from feeling pain and sorrow and stuff, but like that goes against what the boss is telling him to do. Like, she's saying like, give in to your emotions, don't be a a dog just following orders, right? Like, I don't know. I there might be something there, maybe, but where's the end factor in? Like, is he scared of death, or is it trying to eliminate that emotion? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, like I mean, if it ends up being that, and for all I know, maybe there is a great explanation we'll get, but because like I assume we have a lot of ground to cover next week. Like I feel like we have a whole arc to wrap up that I don't think we're even close to wrapping up at this point. You know, so I assume next week's gonna be heavily story filled, heavy exposition like we've had with the other Metal Gears. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if the way I feel about this game is going to change drastically, and if it does, I'd be shocked. You know,
I will say this game, even more so than the previous two, is like very back heavy. Now that I'm playing it more, I'm realizing like nothing happens till like a certain point in this game. So it takes. I think it takes a while. I think this game is more of a slow burn, and I think Omar's probably right in that the format of what we're doing is probably making this game like a little bit even worse for us. But so like we are finishing it next week, so it will be better just to have that all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, you're right, Jack. From memory, the game is like very back heavy. Like, the only things I ever hear people talk about of Snake Eater outside of like the theme, I feel like take place in the last 4 hours of the game. So like, I do think there is sort of a question on, like, you know, how effective the slow burn is. It's slower for us because we're elongating it, but, like, I'm curious to see what the payoff is like. So, Omar, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I think I brought this up last week, or I keep bringing it up, but, you know, Metal Gear Solid 2 really... I'm sorry for bringing up Metal Gear Solid 2 all the time. I really am. But, like, Metal Gear Solid 2 asks the player to like examine the form of Metal Gear Solid, right? Like, it's like, hey, think about the way that game was structured and everything, and figure out what you want. What did you want from this? And then here's Metal Gear Solid 3, and like, yeah, okay, there's 5 bosses. They're all crazy, and you're gonna uncover a plot about Metal Gear. It's like, I don't see what the point is of repeating that structure after Metal Gear Solid 2 did it and talked about it, right? Yeah. It just feels like, in a way, like this is a sequel. Here, like, yeah, it's more Metal Gear. It's not that interesting to me, outside from the setting. But, you know, of course, I'd rather future stuff too. Like, I almost think this game doesn't need the 5 bosses, right? Like, just do like, something else.
I wonder if, because Jack brought up the idea of open world, right? I wonder if Snake Eater would be more effective if it was much more linear, and you have like story moments where you're supposed to be like, oh, now heal, now use your survival stuff, right? Like, because I would say, okay, I think I can make this comparison because it came out around the same time. The original Resident Evil remake, GameCube, right? Early 2000s. That game, I would say, is pretty linear. It's like you're in a mansion, but you definitely have like point to point to point, and the obstacles in between are the zombies. I think there's a way to implement survival in a way that doesn't feel so open and detrimental to what they're doing here, because I think, like we've been talking about, this game does feel the most cinematic in terms of Kojima's writing this and wanting this to be a playable movie, kind of. So balancing the open areas where there's not much story stuff going on and there's really not much challenging you against the, you know, climactic boss fights, I feel like if you just cut down some of that stuff, we'd be moving at a better pace, and like your points and your story would feel more like urgency, I guess, because like I'm not really feeling any fire beneath me through any of these weeks so far, and maybe it's because we're breaking it up this way, but like in the first half of a Metal Gear Solid game, I feel like we should have some like fire, being like, oh yeah, we really got to see what's going on here, right? Especially if, like you said, Omar, they're really relying on that format. You know, it's like
Yeah.
they're taking the outline of like this major beats and not taking anything else. It's weird. It feels weird as a Metal Gear Solid game, I think, especially after 2, like you said. But
The stakes are like higher than ever, right? In terms of like we're facing a nuclear threat again, or a war, a nuclear holocaust, or something from Soviet. But yeah, you definitely don't feel it. I don't even know if that. Maybe that's like a whole like Cold War characterization thing. I don't know. But
yeah, like I guess we like should be remembering the conversation with oh man, the president.
Sully.
Yeah, our homie Sully, and I think he was he talking to He wasn't talking to Volgan.
Khrushchev?
He was talking to
LBJ
yeah,
and Khrushchev were talking. Yeah,
LBJ. Yeah. Like, I guess we should be remembering that as like the main like, I guess, fire in this game of like urgency. You know that hey, if LBJ doesn't prove that America wasn't involved in this thing, you know, nuclear war is gonna happen. I guess in like a week or something like that. But yeah, no, like I just don't think that. Yeah, I think this game is just very weird. This game is just very weird, you know, and like I think the way a lot of trilogies go is what we have here with MGS. It seems like we're like first one, great, definitely laid the ground floor, iconic, right? We have MGS2 where I feel like it's a refinement of the first game in a lot of meta ways than not. You know, like in like a lot of ways, I feel like MGS2 could arguably, I think, be better than the first Metal Gear Solid, like overall pound for pound, definitely gameplay wise, you know. And then 3, some trilogies they do a little bit more par for the course in the second game. Other times they throw in these really weird, out there mechanics that are brand new and, you know, kind of crack the mold that they developed with the first 2 games, and it looks like we're having that here with like MGS3. You
Batmobile.
know, just a weird weird
What do you say?
game.
The Batmobile.
Even though I don't think the Batmobile is that bad.
No, I don't either. But yeah,
yeah. Like generally speaking,
Is that 3 Batmobile fans?
I don't like
Yo,
it.
fuck that thing. You
I'm
guys
not
are
a
wrong.
fan, but it's not that bad.
Y'all capped. Y'all were capping.
Yeah, it was an overreaction.
Hard
Fuck you guys.
overreaction.
You don't know how I
Hard
reacted.
It's not
There
even
are
that
worse.
bad.
There are worse things in Arkham Knight than the Batmobile.
Yeah,
That's true.
Batmobile's tied to some of those things, but it's not the Batmobile's fault.
I don't want to do those combat sequences. Look, I'd rather play Twisted Metal. But it's okay.
So we get to the lab, right? Again, another interior that we gotta deal with for this game, which again is so far the highlight for me. Jack, working through this lab, what was your process like? Did it feel like you're picking back up with Metal Gear Solid 2, hugging corners and sneaking?
That's Dr. Jack to you because I put my my scientist outfit on and just strolled right through this place. Although I was a little, I guess this is a cool little feature. It did kind of piss me off. The guards, if you put that suit on, I think you're like given that scientist suit.
Yeah,
I think Eva gives it to.
Yeah, so you put that on, walk through here. The guards don't pay attention to you. They don't really notice you. The scientists, because you're supposed to be impersonating a fellow scientist, will be like, who's that guy? Oh no, that's a different person. And then they'll like sound the alarm, which is kind of annoying. It is, I guess, a cool little feature, but yeah, super annoying to get through because the scientists will all realize you. And you get to a certain point where it's like, oh, I'm just walking past all these scientists.
Very Hitman.
It was very Hitman. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. But yeah, it wasn't like too difficult, I'll say. And at least for a while, sneaking around as a scientist was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I knew I could do a scientist outfit, but I feel like the way Naked Snake is, I feel like his character wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like he has a certain, like, perhaps a bit of arrogance, right? Where he'd be like, nah, I could fucking do this shit. It's all right. You know, like, so, and plus, like, I kind of wanted to add, like, a little bit of challenge. Like, I didn't want it to be like, I was literally walking through this playthrough, you know.
Mhm.
So I didn't use it. I didn't use the outfit, even though I did get one. And yeah, like I think you guys are right. I think Eva gives you it. I'm pretty sure, but I think I found another outfit as well that was like a scientist thing as well, like another outfit. I forgot what it was exactly, but I think I got a second outfit that I could have used in this section, but I just went in as Snake and just did my thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Omar, what do you think of the lab as a level, I guess, design-wise?
I thought it looked gorgeous. That's where you get that nice Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of, I think, like watercolor-esque lighting in there.
Mhm.
And I don't know. You brought up the Resident Evil remake beforehand, but I definitely feel like seeing an interior like that here kind of reminded me a bit of some of the backgrounds of that game too, or the lighting, I guess. It was nice. I don't know.
Why are there a bunch of like model posters everywhere? Did you guys notice that?
Oh, Kojima's horny. He's a pervert. I think
They're
that's
like
the reason.
they're like not
Yeah.
even like hidden at this point. They're just out there, like chilling. Like, hey, like here's like a 12 by 20 poster over here. You know,
Scientists be jacking off. I don't know.
huh?
It's
Yeah.
MGS2 had a lot of that with the lockers.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like those, you know, they're in lockers. They're like cool. I don't know about cool, but like, you know, things that you can imagine. Hey, this scientist, this is his locker. You know, there's like a string of thought that you can have with why this poster is in this locker. What is the reason for it being a huge, like, flag-sized poster? You know,
Terrible HR department, apparently.
for real. Oh man.
So, like personally, I thought the lab was fun. It was a mix of like balancing the outfit and stuff, but like, for me, this section of like actually going through part of the game that's not tied to a boss was my favorite part so far, because like it's what I like about Metal Gear, and it's what I really like about the previous games and the later games that deal with this stuff. Like I do think like there's something about navigating a facility or a lab or something that just adds urgency, right? Because I think being out in the jungle, it's Jackie brought up open worlds, and people bring up this lack of urgency in open worlds sometimes, where it's just like, I'm playing Spider-Man, I can just fuck around until I like, oh, Aunt May's being held hostage, let me just go deliver some pizzas, right? Like, why not? I think that's sort of a similar issue, not to that extent, but like with the more open jungle areas, because you just feel so alone and so isolated
Holy
and
shit.
without anything, right? It's like, we talked about lack of urgency, but like here it's like, oh, there is an urgency because I could get caught at any second, and I do think that just automatically design-wise adds to my incentive to play and be stealthy and think about the mission, but
Yeah, Metal Gear previously was just felt so much better when you were confined to a specific area and felt like you had to navigate it in a certain way.
Mhm.
And not yet, but they haven't quite nailed that sort of openness of Metal Gear and what that could be.
definitely.
Yeah, I think this was the first steps in Metal Gear expanding past like Shadow Moses and Big Shell, where those environments were very small, and it tried to introduce bigger environments and wasn't the best. It like they're not bad by any means. They're just not very interesting.
Mhm.
So maybe we'll get there.
The open areas in MGS3 laid the groundwork for Death Stranding, guys. That's exactly what it is. You know,
Sure.
exactly what it is, guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would you look at that?
And I like, honestly, I think there's a point there, right? Like, whatever anybody feels about Death Stranding, I think they want, at least in that game, there's a purpose to making you just sit there by yourself with your thoughts as you're navigating this world and focusing on the mechanics, right? Like here, I think they want you to do that, but like Jack said, it's a first shot. I think time hasn't been kind to it, but yeah, definitely I had a much better time with the interiors here.
Yeah.
So after we navigate through the lab, we are brought up to another cutscene with the next boss fight. The fear. Kevin.
Yes.
The introduction of the fear, because again, you love Dead Cell, you love Foxhound. We got a little tease earlier about what we think of the fear. What did you think of the fear's introduction?
Oof. I don't know. This guy sucks. Like, this guy sucks, man. Like, it's like, I don't even know if cringe is even like suffice. Like, I don't even know if cringe is worthy. Like, I don't even know what this guy's problem is. You know, I have no, like, are you a vampire? I think he ran on water. I think he did. I'm like pretty sure. I think, but I don't know. He has a venom tongue type thing. You know, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't really like. You know how with like Sniper Wolf, she's a great sniper. You know, she can stay put for a week straight without eating, drinking. Like her when she's on a hunt, right? Fortune, you know, she has good fortune. She just can't die, right? How do you explain the fear? That's why I think these villains are so weird. Is that like, I feel like we had a good like, you know, standing of like, okay, cool. Like these villains that he makes are, I think, really cool. The way they're just defined in their names themselves, and that's all you need to remember what this villain is. You know, with the fear, it's like, okay, you're, I guess, a cross between like a vampire. You can randomly go invisible. That I think is like a cloaking technology, because as you did damage to him, like he would start to like electrocute. So I was thinking, okay, maybe that's a cloaking tech thing. So he can do that. He's very agile, very fast. He can jump around. Like how? And you just scream, "You're the fear." You know, like that is not a typical villain that we've encountered in this series. You know, so it's like I don't even know what that was, to be honest. You know,
Do you think?
I don't even know.
Do you think you would have liked this boss better if their name was Anxious Chameleon?
I guess, yeah, maybe, yeah. Like I don't know, like, yeah, I don't, yeah, and I think his boss fight wasn't that great at all, really. We'll get to another boss fight that I thought at least was somewhat more interesting, and definitely I enjoyed that boss fight a little bit more. But yeah, no, the fear wasn't doing it for me. No, yeah, it was, yeah, like it's around the same range as the pain. I don't know if I'll put it below or above necessarily. You know, I think maybe I like the plane, like the pains more, because at least there was something of like, you know, you had to avoid certain things and in like it, in at least somewhat engaging ways. This I was literally just following where he was jumping and then just shooting when he stood still.
Sure.
That was literally it.
It kind of feels like Kojima kind of gave up with his bosses, because like at least I didn't like the pain, but at least with the pain he had a unique gimmick with the bees. Wasn't fun or whatever, but at least like that differentiated him. If I had to pick the fear out of a lineup right now, I don't think I could. And he doesn't have any like unique powers that are special to him. Like I'm pretty sure we've seen cloaking technology with like Cyborg Ninja, and he just like jumps around and stuff. And I almost kind of think this is a joke boss fight, because I threw on my thermal goggles and I was like, there he is, and I just tranked the shit out of him really easily, and it took me under 2 minutes to defeat him. It was so easy, and I was like, I wonder if this is a joke, because that was ridiculously easy.
Does it feel like Predator? Especially if you use your thermal goggles too. Like
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And see, like, that's another thing too. Like, I feel like there's so much opportunity for a really tense fight like that, right? Like, I've been playing all these games on easy. Like, I do think that say what you will about how it controls in the first game, but like I think something like the Sniper Wolf fight is able to have a sense of like there's a tense vibe there where I feel like an enemy that can turn invisible and jump around all over the place. I feel like there should be more there. Even someone like Vamp, who I think you could compare Vamp's fight to this fight because he
100%.
Has some similar agility and I don't think Vamp poisoned you, but there was something similar to it. I think mechanically,
he threw like the little knives at you.
Okay,
and the fear like would crossbow you and poison you. It's pretty similar, yeah.
Yeah, but like at least Vamp still had that backstory and that cool aura to him that Kevin is talking about and is missing here. But what were you saying, Omar?
Are you still playing on that standard camera that you switched to last week?
No. I mean, I bounced around between it. I didn't use it on the Pain. I didn't use it here. I didn't use it on the End. But yeah, mainly I think it's just because I feel like the in between areas are so easy that having the camera locked in that way makes it just less aimless, kind of. I don't know. But,
sure.
Jack, I wanted to ask you again because throughout the series you've been pretty on top of checking the codec. Anything with the fear from the codec?
The only thing that I remembered was Sigint saying something along the lines of his cloaking technology quickly diminishes as he's moving. So like as he exerts himself, his camouflage will like deteriorate and he'll have to like stop and eat for a second. So I think that's the way to defeat him without having thermal is just let him tire himself out. He'll go to the ground, start eating like a rat or something, and then get back to business. But yeah, that was pretty much all I remember in terms of the codec.
Yeah, so
yeah, that's so weird.
Again,
so
lacking,
weird.
Not really having a lot of insight, but
yeah.
Didn't Otacon make the invisible cloaking stuff in Metal Gear Solid 1? Or was that he invented it or something? Or did he just make some good ones? I don't know.
I don't know if he invented it, but yeah, he definitely was like, all right, I'm going to just walk around this facility now, invisible. Peace.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like an Arms Tech prototype that nobody used. Maybe I think that might have been it. Maybe, but
did you guys so far with the End eventually and with the Fear they have like camouflages you could pick up? I don't remember if the Pain had a camouflage. Did you guys pick up any of these camos?
Could you get to the Pain's like boss station in that stage?
Yeah, I don't think you can.
No. Yeah, I if you could, I couldn't, but yeah, I definitely picked up something from the Fear.
Yeah, I did not get anything from the Pain. I didn't even think I could get to that, so I didn't even bother. But yeah, I got something from the Fear also.
Did you get something from the End? Not to jump ahead, but
yes.
Okay.
So, we wrap up here with the boss fight. Kevin, walk us through the journey to the End. What's it like for you?
Pretty much par for the course. Wait, did we miss a major cutscene that we haven't talked about yet?
We didn't talk about the first cutscene in this segment yet with the boss.
With Granin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that then? Because I didn't really think there was much to pull from there.
I mean, there was an explanation of Metal Gear, which I thought was pretty cool. Dude, I
didn't understand it, to be honest. He just said kind of like a Metal Gear, if you will. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean, if we will? I have no clue what you're talking about. Those words don't belong next to each other.
Wait, I mean, I think we was talking about was the bridge between, what was it, was it the bridge between, species and humanity itself?
Yeah.
And that this technology is the gear that turns humanity forward and progresses them forward as if a gear in itself. I thought that was neat as fuck.
He said something like, how there's that missing relative between monkeys and people?
That's what it was.
No gear. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
And then he said something like, I'm going to give the plans to my friend in the US. And he talked about the philosopher's legacy. I think that may be the first time someone brings that up. I don't really know what that is so far, but I think those are the kind of highlights from that particular.
And he's drunk.
Yeah.
Also,
he's really drunk.
Yes. Also, he's very drunk. Yeah.
And he's got a statue of not only Jehuti from Zone of the Enders, he's got a statue of a Metal Gear Ray.
Yeah. What the fuck?
That's
yeah.
It reminds me of the Vulcan Raven action figure. In,
Yeah, but at least that was after the fact.
yeah, you're right. Like,
fuck this.
I love when we get these weird explanations and the terminology like we've gotten so far. But Kevin, early on in this initiative, you mentioned that you feel like the game or Metal Gear is constantly on the edge of being stupid. To me, this was it. I was like, the fuck do you mean? Like, Metal? Sure. I mean,
I thought it made sense, guys. I actually liked it.
Like, yeah, we had to get the name somewhere. It seems like you're like, you know what? Just have him say it. Just have him say it. It's like, we'll go with it. Everyone knows. We got 2 games already. They're gonna know. They're gonna know.
Oh,
This to me, the name of Metal Gear is like the blaster for Han Solo and Solo. I didn't need to see where he got that fucking thing. I didn't need the backstory.
DL44, right?
I didn't need to see the entirety of Solo, to be completely honest. But I didn't need the backstory of Metal Gear. It's a stupid name. Let's just leave it.
Because like, see,
and we also get a stupid explanation. I don't even get what that means.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like earlier when I was talking about how I wish they would just commit to like one tone of like, I know it's a prequel, but like, just call it Shagohod. Like, we get it. We get that that's an early version of this, right? Like, that's pretty clear out the gate when they introduce it. It just doesn't have legs. Like, I think that's fine. You don't have to be so like ham-fisted about it. It just bothered me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's. I was gonna say it's Kojima getting so mad that the gamers didn't understand Metal Gear Solid 2, and he's explaining this to them in great detail. That's what's happening. He doesn't trust us anymore, I think.
Listen, I'm gonna be the opposing force in this, okay? And I feel like I understood MGS2. I think I did. But I liked that visualization of, like monkey versus human, right? What's that middle piece that allows us to evolve? Like a symbolic nature of like technology, how we're able to utilize tools and everything to progress as a species, as humans. I thought it was neat. I personally thought that was a really cool, and it's something that throughout this entire thing, it was that moment I realized I've never considered why it's even called Metal Gear. Granted, there's a thing that y'all are saying, like, do we need to know? Like, I don't think I need to know why Han has dice up on the Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I need to know that. I really don't. But I think I might need to. I enjoyed knowing why it's called Metal Gear, I guess. In the same vein that, like, I thought it was pretty neat. I actually like Solo.
Yeah,
I like Solo.
No, I'm with you there.
I don't know.
I think the comparison's much more of like trying to why is it called the Death Star? I think that's more of a solid comparison, right? Like,
yeah,
well, you kind of get what Death Star means. I don't think you need an explanation.
Well, yeah, but like Metal Gear, these things are all made of metal. There's some gears working in there, like,
sure, yeah.
Gear drops in gaming, like equipment. It's like, okay, I made that connection. It's made of metal. There we go. Like,
yeah, and I feel like with a lot of, like, when I think of like a lot of anime in particular, there's just a lot of like bonkers titles for things, and I'm like, My Hero Academia is like not a good descriptor of what that is. Like, you get it, but it's kind of just silly, and like no one ever says this is My Hero Academia. You know what I mean? It's just
no. They say Boku no Hero Academia.
Sure.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's just silly. I didn't need this backstory for the name of Metal Gear. It also just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I think it's a problem. Like, for Kojima, I think this might be the game where he gets into the idea of explaining all of his decisions. That, later he goes even deeper on that. But like, there's this guy who looks like Ocelot, and now we're learning how he becomes a revolver or how he gets into revolvers. Like, it's all stuff I don't need to know. Like, I didn't need that backstory. Yeah. Like,
okay. From that angle, I definitely see that. Like, specifically like the Ocelot stuff, that's not really working with me that much, to be honest. Like which again, I'm still on the thing of like, I don't know if that's even an ocelot, to be completely honest with y'all. You know,
I mean, the game wants you to think
at this point. Yeah, definitely that's the lane they're going down for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I liked this explanation a little bit. You know, it worked for me. Now, like, I don't know how these walking, you know, nuclear silos, I guess, further humanity, to go off Jack's point of like, does that really even make sense? You know, like,
yeah, like
a very destructive weapon of mass destruction. Like, is that really furthering us as a species? You have a great point, Jack. You have a great point. I guess that doesn't really make that much sense, but
I think it's, you know, that guy ends the speech with like, to capitalism, and I think in a lot of ways, like, Kojima is telling the story of, yeah, we need this wars to happen for R&D to get crazy, and that's how we further humanity by developing crazy technologies or something.
Yeah, because again, I think that point would be made much more salient if we didn't have these weirdo bosses, right? Because like, if you have just like a standard commando group, and you go hard on like, hey, it's not weird yet, and then you implement this idea that Metal Gear is a gap that will be bridged of like eternal war to constantly be funding science and technology. By the time we get to Metal Gear Solid 2, we got these weird like telepaths and vampires and cyborg ninjas. I feel like that would make so like, you know, like, I really think they should have committed to just like, this is a straightforward dad soldier going through the forest. Like, I really think it would have been much more effective that way.
Christian, you fucking nailed it. That makes too much sense, Christian. That makes too much sense.
You know, but instead we got these like fucking long tongue dude, like a frog guy, like
a bee guy.
Yeah, like why?
So I still feel like they could have nailed it though. It like I do love that goofy tone, but just not this goofy tone. Like,
right, yeah, and I think it's a weird thing. Like, we talk a lot about Metal Gear Solid 2's impact on this game.
Yeah,
I feel like they course corrected in like 6 different departments, and not the 7th. And the 7th is like invalidating all the other ones, kind of, for me. You know, sure. Like, I still think you could have some like a goofy tone there, but I do think like having the like, oh, people like the weird bosses, people like the one-liners. Like, I think having that in there when you're course correcting so hard after 2, it just hurts everything else you're doing, and it just makes it not work for me.
Yeah, maybe it's because like also like I think Mega Snake as a protagonist isn't as fun as Solid Snake in here to react to the goofy stuff. Like, Snake took everything with a, I don't know, with a straight face, I guess, but I felt like there was a bit of an acknowledgement of how ridiculous stuff gets in this, but Mega Snake here, he doesn't maybe plays it too straight even, I don't know.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on the origins of Metal Gear? Anything with the boss? Any changes?
Dude, I don't think I like the boss. Like, I think all her lines are weird. She doesn't seem like a character. She's just talking about like her combat and her the GRU or whatever, the Cobra unit. Like, I'm not getting much from her so far. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm assuming that this next end of the game, right, when we finally wrap it up, there's going to be, I think, or I hope for, a cohesive, like, I'm able to explain why MGS3 exists by next week.
Yes.
You know, I'm assuming that that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very hard to tell right now. Like, where it is very hard to tell. Like, I feel like I'm still on the first episode of this series.
Right.
Like, I feel like I don't know if much of anything has really even happened. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I just got pushed off the bridge by boss like last week. And that was like 3 weeks ago or something like that. 2 weeks ago.
I mean, as of like playing, I think it's been 3. For me, I mean, most of us at least.
Yeah. Like, so I assume that next week we're gonna have a ton to digest, a ton to talk about, a ton to know, a ton to take in and comprehend. That I think it seems to be a lot more than the other games, which I don't know if that is the right way to go about it. Like that, like slow burn thing that you guys were talking about. You know, like I don't know if that was the right thing here. You know.
Yeah, I agree with Omar in that I think maybe the way we tackled this was somewhat of a disservice to this game, because this game is different. Like what I said earlier, it's just like incredibly back heavy. Like there's a certain point where everything starts to happen, and then you get obviously everything with Metal Gear, all the crazy stuff happens at the end. But even before that, like the game really starts ramping up. So, like this is a really good game, but we just sound very negative about it because I think the beginning is slow, and like things being slow isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just I don't think the game has introduced anything wholly unique, and in fact it's introduced some things that are pretty terrible. So I think it'll be a more interesting conversation next week when we have like we can have more of a retrospective look back on what Metal Gear Solid 3 actually looks like in comparison to the other two. Last
thing I'll mention also, that character that was playing Metal Gear, Grant, what's his name? Grandin?
Yeah.
Grandin. I think when he was talking about his like associate in the US or whatever, there was like a picture above his desk in the background. Listen, I'm on the Otacon watch, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know, okay? That gentleman had some long hair, had some round glasses. You know, that's all I'm saying is that I think I spotted an Otacon. You know, I don't know if it's our Otacon. You know, perhaps like it's his father, right? Oh shit! Wait, is this the? Wait.
Break out the no cards. Break out the no cards.
Wait, yeah, we have a conspiracy. Holy shit! So
Diaz deductions.
Yeah. So is this the Where's my note? Here we go. Is this the backstory of the family lineage that Otacon was talking about? Like how his father was involved in I think the origin of Metal Gear? Is that true? Or am I just making that up?
Well, I think his grandfather was in the Manhattan Project.
Okay.
And then his dad was doing something along the lines of that work, and then Otacon was doing what he was doing for Metal Gear.
Okay. We're gonna just say that there's some sort of connection between Ganon and
Ganondorf.
Is it
Granin?
Granin. I missed
Ganon's from Zelda.
My bad. Granin.
Next Longplay series.
Yeah.
Granin, and we'll say Otacon's dad. I don't think it's a grandfather. You know, I think that might be. I don't think that works with the timeline. I guess it could, but we're gonna go with the Otacon's dad.
Do the birthdays on the Codex screen ever freak you guys out? Where it's like, well, I'm talking to this young lady. What? She's born in 1936?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's pretty strange. Interesting observation, Kevin. Yeah, I like Jack said, next week is back heavy, and I still think this is a good game. You know, I feel like we've talked a lot about what doesn't work for the game, but I don't know if it's fully the fact that we're playing it this way, because there are elements of the game that incentivize you to take breaks from it, you know? Like, there is the healing mechanic, and we'll get to it in a moment, but, like, there is other instances in this game where putting the game down for a while can just be to your benefit. So, I don't know. I think the game has a lot of ambition, right? And obviously I think time hasn't been super kind to it the way it has been to 2. Or even the first one, but yeah, the game is absolutely back heavy. Honestly, I kicked around maybe the idea of just starting up a very easy save and blitzing through the whole thing again to see if that changes how I feel about it. But like, I don't even know if it would change that much, because I can tell you what I did like perfectly off the top of the head. You know, I remember exactly how the pain fight went. So like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a matter of the way you play the game versus the way the game is paced, just not working with everything it throws at you and what you want out of the game. But I'm still maybe considering that to see if I feel differently. Speaking of, go ahead.
Well, we'll get into this time conversation or putting the game down for a while later, but I actually think it's not an incentive. It actually is punishing you for that, I think. But I don't know.
I mean, to an extent, like I know there's the spoiling of food, but you also have the sleep thing. So like you come back, you're
no,
good,
you're right.
Right. So
but
like,
there's some stuff like I guess
yeah, there's like
should we bring it up?
Yeah, there's
or
a pro and
should we
con
wait?
to it. You know, like there's benefits and disservices, but Omar, I think you're the one who did the thing here. So
I always do the thing.
Yeah.
If it's there, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking do it.
So because Kevin is again the flower. Would we like
what kind of flower, Kevin? What kind of flower? What kind of flower?
The one from that Disney movie,
Beauty and the Beast, the rose.
That
That's a good image.
on the glass dome thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Got little water droplets on it.
Absolutely.
I know exactly. what you're talking
We had one petal fall because the All Stars Battle Royale debacle, but yeah, mostly still a flower.
So would the panel like to hear Kevin's approach to the end fight first, and then we can share the other ways we did this?
Okay.
Good idea.
Here's what I did, guys. So to answer all the way back to Christian's question before I diverted to the Gandalf conversation.
Yes,
Grandin, whatever his name is, right? Pretty par for the course, just using my easy gun, doing my thing. And then we get to this clearing, right? We have this cutscene, the end, introduces himself. I think he's talking through the forest at that point. I don't know how Snake can hear him so clearly. Beats me, but hey, it is what it is. We learned that he's photosynthetic, which is quite interesting for multitude of reasons, but okay. But then getting into the actual fight, right? I'm like, okay, is this gonna... So I actually like the way they kind of just throw you in this. It's like, okay, figure it out, right? It reminded me a little bit of, obviously, the Sniper Wolf fight, for sure. I think it's the very much clear comparison. A little bit like MGS2 when you're sniping to protect... oh, God, what's her name? Emma, thank you. And doing that, but I see some sniper glints. I'm like, okay, cool, all right, got it. So first, I started to pistol whip this homie, just because that one I can aim down sight properly, right? Mm-hmm. But then I noticed, that was taking a little bit long, wasn't that engaging. Looking through my weapons, I see the I get like an M16 type of weapon, right? So I'm like, all right, let me use that. If I had a sniper, I didn't notice it, or I never picked it up. So that's why I didn't use a sniper for this fight. So as you know, you can't really aim down sight with a sight with the AR. It's very awkward. Where like once you hold square, you're kind of just full auto firing at that point, right? But what I was noticing is that the way this game does like the sun glare effect, if you line up all those light circles, if you will, into one, right, as you move the camera, that's where your gun's gonna aim. So I was using that as like a reticle type thing because I couldn't aim down sight with my rifle, and that did the trick. I thought it was a very smart thing I did. You know what I'm saying? Pro gamer elite strats right here. And yeah, that's why I took down the end.
How many shots did it take?
I probably did like 5 or 6 pistol shots, got him through like the first phase of damage where he moves to like another area, and then I think I maybe used like a mag and a half for my M16, something like that. It definitely wasn't that bad, but yeah. So
Kevin was like the dude from Thor Ragnarok with 2 M16s just mowing him down.
but yeah, it definitely worked out. Not sure if that was the intention using that light trick, but it definitely worked out.
Now, Omar, your side of this, your story reminds me of how SpongeBob was given access to the salty spittoon. He looked at Patrick, didn't have to touch him. Run through what you did.
The date today is April 1st, 2021, but for me, it's April 15th. I initiated this boss fight, saved the game, paramedic told me, "Are you sure you want to save the game? Something could go wrong." And I said, "No, I will save the game." And then I quit out to the PlayStation 3 home menu, and I adjusted the date to 2 weeks in the future, April 15th, 2021. And then I launched the game again, and the end was no more. He died of old age. I get one cutscene of Snake just sneaking up on the end, going, "Drop your weapon." And he never does anything. And then Snake eventually gets so close, and yeah, he's just a dead guy. Just dropped.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were just talking about this incentive of whether or not the game wants you to play the game or wants you to take a break from it or something. I believe that conversation with paramedic asking, "Are you sure you want to save the game?" It's like almost like her going, "Are you sure you want to quit? Because if you don't come back for a while, you might get cheated out of a boss fight." That's my take on it. And then when Snake sneaks up on this guy and initiates this cutscene where he's dead, you get a call. You call the major, and he's like, Snake is like, "I think I did this wrong. I think I disappointed him. His last wish was to fight me, and he just died of old age. I fucked up." And I think I did it wrong, to be honest. I think this is the wrong way to do it, but it's there, so I have to.
So that's what you were talking about. Like, it's physically impossible for me to do on PS Now unless I waited
so.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
I guess I could wait 2 weeks and then come back to it.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. But I can't. I can't change.
I think Christian is about to bring it up. Yeah.
Kevin, me, Omar, and Jack were considering faking not an emergency, but like a hey, we have to cancel. Like, can we just do a hiatus for like have a gap week? But like, hey, Kevin, it's gonna be a short thing, so maybe just like wait until the day before we're actually gonna record again to do this. Like, just
that would be funny.
Keep your schedule up.
That would have been good. That would have been funny. Oh man, that would have been funny.
But yeah,
I've never fought the end before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn.
So
I will say, like, going through and actually like doing the end boss fight, I think so far it's the only good boss fight of Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
I will say that's not saying much.
Definitely not saying much.
At the end of the day, it is kind of just like, especially with like having thermal goggles, that helped a lot. Like, you can kind of see him from a very far distance. But for me, I was going after the trophy of sneaking up on the end and like holding him up. And if you do that, he'll drop his camo for you, and then you'll pick it up, and then he'll just like scurry away. But essentially, like, when I did that, all it is you throw your thermal goggles on, you follow his footprints that he leaves in the ground, and then you just keep sneaking up on him, and I just kept tranking him. And I also captured his bird just because I saw it in the air, and I was like, I'm gonna shoot the tranquilizer.
You gonna eat it?
No.
Okay.
That's another one, guys. That's another one. That fucking
parrot.
bird. That fucking parrot. That's our parrot. That's our parrot.
There's more than
100%.
How
Well, here's the thing. Parrots live. I think Christian was about to ask this. Parrots live for a very long time. They can live. Well, I don't know if it's parrots, but I know scarlet macaws can live like 70, 80 years.
Average parrot lifespan. What we got going on here?
The dodo bird's dead.
50 years. 50 years. And there's a specific one called the kakapo, which is 40.
What'd you call me?
40 to 80 years. That's our parrot, baby.
It's 1960.
64
right now.
64,
Easy.
50 years. That'd be
Easy.
2014, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And MGS2 was 2009.
So checks out.
Fits like a glove.
Did you get that last parrot line where the parrot says "Grandpa"?
I did not.
Okay, I'm pretty sure the parrot said "Grandpa." I'm not really sure why.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Also, did the end explode for you guys? He exploded for me, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
His
Yeah.
Which is like, why?
Yeah. I don't know. And it's like that moment in Metal Gear Solid 1 where Snake is like walking away from the camera, or this time he's walking towards it. I don't know. That's what kind of reminded me of just like the cool walking guy. But yeah.
I wish doing a non-lethal playthrough would net you different cutscenes, because I'm tranking all these people, and then I'm like, sweet, they're not dead. and then the end is just like, "Rah!" and like all of his orifices just open up. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh man, he's like way. Yeah. So he was able to communicate with nature. Is that his thing? Is
Yeah.
that kind of his bag?
I
All right,
guess.
so yeah. So I guess he's like a way uncool Cetra. I guess like he's like Aerith,
Cetra?
but not cool. You know?
Right.
They said
Maybe.
like he communes with like the animals and stuff, but I never got that from a gameplay perspective. Like I never was walking up on a snake and it like slithered, and he was like, "Ooh, the prey near the snake." Like that never happened.
Yeah. Like I feel like we've come up with so many cool ideas to salvage like the pain boss fight. You know, and like even the I forgot. The fear boss fight. And this boss fight too, like
no,
I feel like I don't know if we can save that one to be honest, but like this one, I think there's a way to save that, you know. But I just hate that this game just doesn't do it.
All right. Imagine if
they just refuse to make these bosses cool. It's weird. But go ahead, Nolan.
What if the fear was actually just a scarecrow fight from the Arkham games?
Yeah.
And the darts he was shooting you with was like, oh, we're in a crazy environment now. I don't know.
Shadow clones.
Bring me back to Shadow Moses. Fuck it. Like, trip me
that'd
out.
be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. Bring me back to, I don't know. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm not going back, but you know.
Yeah. I wonder, like, maybe Kojima just made this all lame out of spite. If that's the case,
I kind of wanted to say that, Christian. I kind of wanted to say that. If he was
really like, hey, I wore my heart on my sleeve with 2. We said something. Fuck you. Deal with this shit, and you're gonna like it too. And you're gonna think it's so cool. Here you go.
And they did.
Yeah. Point proven. Like if that's what's going on here, sure, cool.
Yeah,
Dude, that's exactly what's happening.
Like I want to say. Like that could have been obviously like I know I honestly I don't know if it was, but I could definitely see that angle. But then it's like, you know, you throwing Konami in there, right? It's like
that's why they hate him.
Wait, what?
That's why Konami hates him, dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's what it feels like. It definitely feels like a massive fuck you, like to the entire fan base that hated MGS2. For sure. 100%. This game feels like a massive, just like middle finger.
Is it a fuck you or is it a course correction?
I think it could be both, honestly.
It's a secret.
But it's a really bad course. Like this is not even a good course correction. You know,
it's disguised as
like,
course correction, but it's a secret fuck you.
Yeah.
Like course correction. It's like Christian. I think you said this last week. Like, what if The Last of Us Part 3 was like a prequel about Joel?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah.
That's what this feels like. Honestly,
But
not to that extent, but there's a lot of like. Well, I guess people like didn't really quite get Metal Gear Solid 2, so I guess we got to make this fucking thing.
People wanted to play a Snake so bad again after 2 that like obviously this isn't that Snake, but
yeah,
I think for a lot of people it did the job. So
like, I feel again I'm gonna bring up a Star Wars reference, but like, and I think I said this already. But I think the point is even proven a lot more after this playthrough. Is that like this feels like the Rise of Skywalker of Metal Gear Solid, but I'm on the opposite fence of it, but still getting the same outcome. Where it's like, I did not like Last Jedi that much, to be honest, right? And then
it's okay to be wrong.
It is what it is, right? And then we get Rise of Skywalker.
Christian also likes Solo, so there's some.
I like Solo.
Solo's pretty good.
Solo's fucking good. I'll stand by Solo. Solo's good.
And you guys all like
do not make Solo 2 happen. Do not.
I am strong for Solo 2. Let's go, dude. Disney Plus series. But listen, right? So, Rise of Skywalker, I think that they should have just doubled down on what they laid down with Last Jedi. Like, I feel like it would have been just a more cohesive thing, even taking into account that I did not like Last Jedi that much. I feel like overall for the narrative, that's what I think they should have just done,
right?
As opposed to what they did with Rise of Skywalker. Here, it's like I wish you just double down and just hey, if you did MGS2, yeah, people didn't like it, divisive. I would have gave a middle finger to them and just kept going on that course. This feels like a Rise of Skywalker, 100%, where they're like fixing and patching like what was laid down with MGS2, and I think it's making it worse. You know,
A lot of people said like after like the Last Jedi and the way that movie like kind of definitively caps off the Force Awakens in a way. Not definitively. A lot of people like would say, well, they did say they didn't know where the series could go
100%. Yeah,
Last Jedi. And I guess that kind of feels like the same thing with this in Metal Gear Solid 2. Like,
very, very good point. Very good point, actually.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the extent of the offering of Snake Eater for this week.
Can I ask a few more questions real quick?
Yeah, because I don't think we have to like wrap up. I like what we're talking about right now about just like how we're feeling, because I think next week is going to be the moment where it's make or break for the next segment. So like anything, don't leave anything unsaid for the first, 80% of this game. Like get it out there.
Sure. Well, I just wanted to see how you guys felt about like Vulcan, Boss, and Ocelot so far. Like, do you guys like Vulcan? Like,
I don't even like.
Yeah,
he's there. I don't know if he's done anything of any consequence yet either.
No.
Yeah,
he's just been kind of creepy to Tanya, and I don't know. The voice acting too, I feel like are lame performances. Maybe not lame performances, but miscast almost seems like. They're all kind of. Well, Vulcan is a bit whiny, I guess, in a way I didn't really want him to be. Same with Ocelot. You can't really top Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, but this one is just, I don't know, not menacing, not threatening.
He is Lazarevich from Uncharted.
Really? So Cutter as well?
Convince me otherwise. Like, Vulcan is just like generic Russian bad guy in the same way that Lazarevich is generic Russian bad guy. It's just okay.
Like,
so you're just a stand-in right now. Like, you're just supposed to be the figurehead who's doing bad things, and there's really not much else to you.
Lazarevich feels like a threat, though, in a way I feel like Vulcan doesn't. Like,
yeah, like
I don't get menacing vibes from Vulcan, even though I should. Like, I don't know.
He feels kind of like a pawn. Like, it's like they're telling me to be scared of him, and it's like it's not gonna be reasons to, like it's again going back to like that urgency, right? It's like, you want me to kill the boss, but like, why exactly? Like, for proof? Like, I feel like the game is just so spread out in so many different avenues that it's like hard to be with it so far, and that's what I was worried about. Like, I think for every close off thing I said, like, not feeling it yet, but late game there's some really great stuff that happens, and I hope that I'm there for that, but I don't know. Right now I'm not,
The fact that we have like a whole week to beat this game in a week, like, I kind of want to jump into it, like, probably right after we record.
Yeah, I think I might too.
Every Definitely time someone do, and let me know.
But yeah, go. Every time we finish like the gameplay for this, it always feels like we were like almost getting somewhere, and then it just kind of stops. And this game is radically paced different than Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2. Like, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 both had like a prologue that was somewhat comparable, and then they both like start off and basically like reteach you the game in a way. But in this game, like, there really hasn't been. It's been a very, very slow and like drawn out opening to this game compared to the other two, and yeah, we just haven't gotten anywhere so far, and it feels like we're still introducing stuff. Like, I think I'm like 5 to 6, 7 maybe hours in to this game, and it feels like we're still introducing stuff, and we haven't quite gotten over the hump yet.
Yeah. Are we gonna add something else?
Just another thing I wanted to bring up. So,
sure.
Just like I feel like the music in 1 and 2 is so much more fun too for sneaking around. And the music here is often not even in there, or
it's sometimes just mute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like nothing. Yeah. There's no music.
Is this?
And I do like the.
I was gonna say, is this the first game that changed tactical espionage action? Is there a different thing for this?
Oh,
I can look here. I have the thumbnail right here. Let me see. No, it says tactical espionage action.
Okay.
Okay.
Because, like, I think I forget when it happens, but there's a different type of tactical thing they do as a subtitle.
That might have been Rising, I can't remember.
Okay. I think 5 might have had something else too, but like,
I think 5 is also tactical espionage, actually.
I can check, guys. I have the assets for streams. Hold on, let me see.
I swear there's one that doesn't.
I think you're right, Christian.
Ground Zeroes is tactical espionage action.
Okay.
MGS5, The Phantom Pain is tactical espionage operations.
Okay.
Oh, this is 2. Why did I just read that incorrectly?
So, it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's, again, I don't feel super sneaky, Omar. So, like, the fact that you're talking about the sneaky music, it's like, I haven't even noticed that it's not even as good because I just don't feel like I'm sneaking much. I'm just walking. Like,
dude, the music in 1 and 2 is so fun to just hear. I feel like, like especially 2 is like that jazz stuff, where it's like, you play all the Resident Evil games, right, Christian?
Yes.
You're a Resident Evil person.
Absolutely.
So like at some point they switch like, so Resident Evil. Does it always play music 1 and 2, and then when you get to a safe room it doesn't, or was it the other way around?
Say in 1 and 2, the save rooms have music, and in I think 2 remake, there's music with like Mr. X, but
I see,
and save rooms, and story moments. But I think in the Spencer Mansion, at least in like RE remake, to my knowledge, I like based on my memory, I don't think there's any music outside the save rooms.
Sure, and then when they did Resident Evil 4, like they flipped that, right? So then it's always playing music, but or I guess this is I don't know.
Always I think every time you're fighting enemies in 4, there's music, and then in save rooms there's still music, but I think there is downtime.
Yeah, and I think that really does change the ambience with those 2 games, right? Or that series, like with 4. Yeah, mm-hmm. And maybe that's a similar thing here, where it's like, okay, 3 is more quiet. I mean, I really do love the sounds of that jungle or whatever, the forest, whatever it is. But yeah, it's just a different feeling. Yeah. Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I will. Omar brought up a very, very great point that I remember thinking this stream was that the way the jungle sounds is pretty impressive. I will give them that. Yeah, like it does sound like a true. I mean, I haven't been in the jungle that much, but like it like sounds like what I would imagine. Yeah, like it sounds like
5 minutes or once in a
semester.
It sounds like what I would imagine a jungle would sound like for sure. Mm-hmm. So I will give him that. But yeah, like I miss some of the I miss a lot about the music of Metal Gear Solid. Like I'm one of the opinion that I think the soundtrack and the sound design and audio is a lot of the heavy lifting of like making a game like really stick with you and like really impact you. Like we all know Last of Us 1 music, like Final Fantasy 7 music, like there's that's important, like that's amongst the importance of like graphics, character design, narrative, like audio is up there for sure. And I feel like while the jungle sounds great in this game, I miss some of the I just miss some of the iconic soundtrack that I'm just not getting here with MGS3,
Yeah.
There's one appearance of the Metal Gear theme, I think, in this episode where it's that theme with Grandin, right? And they're playing a slow version of that or something.
Yeah, and like I'm like, oh yes, like I even like called out. I'm like, fuck yeah, like I just want more of that.
Yeah,
give me more. Why being so stingy?
Yeah, and again, I don't want to look ahead, but all the issues I feel like we've had for the majority of this playthrough, like I remember them kind of not being there for the next chunk of this game. So I think we're definitely gonna like have our our views of the game once we see it all through. But I really think that between the backtracking after 2 and just like really bad pacing, it just hurts the game. Because I think honestly, like blowing up Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, the way that we're doing this made me appreciate so many more things about the game that way, right? And I imagined in the future with other Metal Gear titles, like I'll feel the same way, because I can tell you right now, breaking 4 up into its parts the way that the game presents us that way, I think is going to be very interesting to like talk about and analyze it that way. And I think we felt natural points to stop with Snake Eater so far. It just like, yeah, I think it's just bad pacing because everything we've done, everything that's ahead of us, I really think is going to benefit from breaking up and really digging into. It's just like, maybe it's just because it was so reactionary, it just doesn't work the same way. But that's everything that I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's hard for a prequel to do urgency stuff in general? Like, because I feel like there's less excitement to play this game every week than there was for like Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 for me, where it's like, I'll just keep going through it, but the fact that I know these events aren't as impactful as the future games, or to me, I don't know. Maybe what do you guys think?
I think with prequels, specifically The Phantom Menace, I felt a very big urgency with the trade deliberations. So yes, I do think that they can do quite well with that, yes.
Sure.
Like, I think prequels can have urgency to them. I think it just has to be self-contained urgency, right? And this game doesn't do that, right? Like, it should. It's laid out there, right? Like, because we don't know the details of everything that happens with this snake or the boss, because we haven't heard about them really before.
Right.
So I think you have an opportunity where it's like, hey, nuclear holocaust, Cold War, Naked Snake has to eliminate the boss, right? Like, there's something there. You have an outline of a A to B point, and it's like you have all these pieces in play that you could be using to constantly be pushing, but for some reason, because of where some of the focus was on like the mechanics, the survival stuff, maybe it just got split up in too many different ways where they're like, either we don't want to or we can't figure out a way to make it feel like it's an actual issue until the very end of the game, right? Like, that's where I'm at with it, because I think you could very easily have there be urgency here, but yeah, it just does not. It feels like it's not trying to do that.
Sure. Yeah, I remember me and Jack talking a lot about how, like, oh man, like, you know, some of those long cutscenes, you know, like it's a lot to take in, whatever. I kind of miss them. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of miss them. You know, I would rather that than go through this very like not inspired, not engaging jungle part where, you know, not really as much happening. You know, kind of miss it. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow,
definitely.
Are there any final things to say before we start wrapping up for part 3 of Snake Eater?
I have something I'm really looking forward to next week, but I don't know if I should include that with a plug or right now.
You can do it now.
Okay, all right. I've been dogging on this game, but I think next week has like maybe my favorite Metal Gear Solid set piece. There's one I'm super excited about. Yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely really good stuff happening next week. 100%. Some of the best Metal Gear stuff happens next week.
Yeah.
See, like that's so like I don't even know how that could even be possible, dude. But let's fucking go. All right. You know. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's exciting. It's exciting.
That is everything there is to talk about for part 3 of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. We are going to do our usual roundup of final thoughts for the week, expectations for next week, any plugs you want to do. So let's start in the top left. Jack, what's up?
Sure. Like what I just said, there's some really exciting stuff for us next week. The more we kept talking about it, the more I just kind of want to play this immediately after we stop recording this, so I'm probably going to do that. If I beat it before this weekend, maybe I'll start like a platinum run before next week's recording, because I think it's like you can skip cutscenes and all that, and just I'll play it on very easy, just use like the easy gun and just sort of blaze through that. So maybe I'll do a platinum run before next week's recording. That might be a little ambitious, but I do want to platinum this game because the trophy list is not very difficult, and it is fun at least to play through, and maybe even more fun to just turn your brain off and play through. So there's that. And Christian and I have a Marvel's Avengers podcast called Excelsior. We also talk about the MCU, currently we're talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So you can find that on youtube.com/joyclicks or on podcast services of your choice.
Very nice. Omar, let's hear it.
Yeah, definitely excited for next week about this game. There's one sequence I don't even think I should hit at, but
Yeah,
I wonder if you guys know the one I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I do. I know exactly
I
what
think
you're
so.
talking about, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, yeah, for plugs, I have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ohmsthe I talked to Chet Hanks. He gave me permission to use White Boy's Humble, so we've adopted that on the channel. So come through. The streams are getting weirder every time. I'm definitely going to get banned within the next month. Check it out, please. It's a good time.
Oh man,
Kevin, let's hear
Yes.
what you're thinking.
All right, so MGS3, we're on the cliff. We're about to, we got one more session to end this game. We have a variety of different opinions. I'm almost more intrigued and excited to beat this game, just to see if there is a like miraculous turnaround. But then it poses the question, like, is that turn around, like, is that payoff at the end like really worth the majority of the game being pretty like uninspired and like a bit lackluster, as we said before on this section of our long play? Like, I'm curious to see if it pays off, but I'm at least expecting for things to have a cohesive like story. I would like to sit down and be, oh yeah, okay, MGS3, this is what happens, this is the point of it, because it's pretty shocking that it's not that apparent, and we're like 3 weeks in, so we'll see, we'll see, but there's a little bit more intrigue for that as opposed to like seeing the end of Raiden's journey in MGS2, or like seeing how Solid Snake was gonna take down Metal Gear Rex. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We shall see. But of course, Metal Gear Wednesday streams on due to the conference's PlayStation Source. We're talking a lot about how PlayStation doesn't care about their old games. That's great to hear. Great stuff right there. We talked about the PS Store coming off of the Vita. The best handheld. Switch what? I'm sorry. Ratchet and Clank games were ranked this week too. That was neat, and we're doing Resistance as well. So we're about to finish Resistance 1, going into 2 next week. So very excited for that. And Twitter at PSSourceVids, Save Stop Podcast as well on Sundays, as well as you might see a new Road 2 series start next week. Very excited for that. We're very, I'm extremely excited for this next one. A lot of anticipation. So we shall see. That's nice. About it.
Okay, so final thoughts on this week. I really like there is potential for the things I know are coming to wipe away 80% of my negativity towards Snake Eater, as long as it hits. And I hope it does, because I really think it could be, and I think there could be like great momentum going into 4 after this. I'm just really excited to play 4, but I think there's a couple moments that I think, when I think of Metal Gear, I think of these moments. So like I'm really hoping it saves the 3 weeks of kind of terrible pacing that the first half of the game has. But yeah, looking forward to that for sure. And I guess, like for next week's everything I just said. You can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, TikTok at ChuntyD2, right here, as well as on youtube.com/joyclicks. For this here show, last week, the 4 of us plus Mike Connors did our first ever Joyclicks Hall of Game ceremony. That is still live on the channel in a playlist. We each presented a game we think is one of the greatest games of all time, and we voted on 2. So we now have 2 official GOATs that can only be referred to as GOATs, those 2, because they're in the hall. So you can check that out. The archive is still up. We're going to do our next one in June. Maybe Metal Gear Solid 3 shows up at one of them. But if you want to support the channel and the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/joyclicks at the $1, $5 tiers. $5 tier gets you booster credit on every podcast, like Chris Sakas and Aaron Easton. So thank you very much. And yeah, that's going to do it for Snake Eater Part 3. When we are back next week, we will have beaten the game, we'll have rankings, final thoughts, new code names, and week after that, we're starting up MGS4. So look forward to that. The train does not stop. And until then, Kevin, can I get a meow?
Oh, the like that's
Yeah.
that's I fucking hate it. I hate that. I hate that so much. But I will do it. I'll do it for long.